where you come from, no matter where you're going, here's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing that whether if you come to stay a while or just passing through, this door is open to you. Come, let's be silent. Come and share a hug. Come, let's pray together. Come, love and be loved. From the blissed out to the turned out, from the pampered to the abused, this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you. If there's some kind of trouble or pain you're going through, know that you are not alone. Someone cares for you. As an individualization of divine point of view, this door, this door right here is open for you. Oh, this door, I've talked about this door. I said this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. God in us recognizes the God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you.
Thank you, Ken and Nico. Yes, indeed. This door, whether it be a literal door. Oh, and Thomas. Say so small.
I need to pull up my plaque again? Wow.
So whether it's this physical door here in this space or whether it's the door through the camera here, thank you, Sharon. Welcome no matter where you are in the world and no matter where you are in your spiritual path. We're so glad your path has crossed with us this morning. And we begin by acknowledging how grateful we are to be living, working, playing on the traditional and unceded lands of this Nanaimo Nation here in Nanaimo, and to all the Indigenous people across our land. We thank them for sharing their space with us, and we are committed to working together to create a better future. And now, Thomas, if you would lead the band with some more music.
Oh, Thomas is the best.
Up to a higher place. Up beyond the silent space. Up to a higher place. Up in my soul, right into a higher place. Up to a higher place. Up greatness. My soul has answered the call. Up, up, up to a higher place. Up, up, up far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. My soul rising to a higher place.
We're not done with you yet.
I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road to heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing freedom today. I'm choosing freedom today. I am walking the road to heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today. I choose forgiveness today. I choose forgiveness today. I am walking the road to heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing healing today. I'm choosing healing today. I am walking the road to heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road to heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today. I am choosing the road to heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today.
Dude, he's just Ken.
Thank you to our entire band. May I introduce Reverend Thomas DeSchutter on the drums, the world-renowned Nico Rhodes on piano, and our beloved Ken Thompson on drums. Welcome, everyone. All right. You've had your time. Okay. Would you join me in an opening prayer, please? And let us remember now who we really are. We are the ones. And when we come together, we make a bigger ones. And we make a bigger difference in the world for each other, for ourselves, and for everyone we meet, because we are divine, sacred, and love. And we recognize that in each other and support in each other to be bigger and more loving and more strong and more effective and more of God right here on earth. And so it is. Pardon my stuttering. I've already done a talk on Zoom this morning and my mouth's all worn up. So you're all familiar with how much I love James Dillett Freeman. So I discovered this book on our shelves this week called The Hilltop Heart. And by the way, there is a free library full of good books in the back room. This is called God is Joy. We might all be more truly religious if, like David, we sometimes danced before the Lord and sang him happy songs. Often we think of God as love or intelligence or power or life. But how rarely we think of God as joy. Yet think what the world would be without joy in it. It is only the joy of love that makes us want to be loving, and the joy in intelligence that makes us want to know. It is the joy of power that gives us the will to do, and the joy in life that gives us the will to live. Most of the time, religion is a solemn affair, and we think of God as immutable law and implacable lawgiver, awesome and absolute. But God is infinite, and the infinite includes the joyous aspects of being. God is not a God of sorrows. God is the joyous one. It is a kind of blasphemy to think of God as sorrowful. God is the very spirit of joy, pouring forth consciousness and joyousness. The world was formed out of joy. God's joy overflowed, and the world was formed out of its overflowing. Sadness could never have conceived life. Life, this everlasting bubbling up, this never-ceasing springing forth, this prodigality of creatures, this fantastic exuberance of shapes and forms, this excess of inventions and surprises, could only be the product of a spirit of joy. At the heart of things, there is a flame, a dancing flame, a singing flame, a soaring flame, and at it we can warm our hearts.
Weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love. We are many textures, we are many colors, each one different from the others, but we are entwined with one another. In one great tapestry, weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love. We are different instruments playing our own melodies, each one tuning to a different key. But we are all playing in harmony, in one great symphony. Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love. Moment ago, we did not know unity, only diversity. Now the Christ in me greets the Christ in thee, in one great family. Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love.
It is now my great pleasure to announce the one and the only Reverend Thomas DeSchutter.
You're hilarious. Oh my God, this place has gone mad.
You said be joyful.
All right, God.
There it is.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. Everybody joining us online. I know there's some people on Facebook. I've said good morning to them, so hi, great to see you. And on YouTube as well. I think Patricia said it all. Oh no, this is the 5 principles of living. But principle number 1, she pretty much handled. So for those that don't know, in Unity we have 5 principles for living. And I will abbreviate them to the shortest version we have, which is God is, I am, I think, I affirm, I act, or I live, depending on which one you want. So those are the 5 principles. So let's kind of break them down. I'll give you the longer version. In principle 1, God is absolute good. That is the unity definition of God. And I see that as God is in everything. It's in all of us. It's in, as I journeyed on my motorcycle and was around rocks that were millions of years old, God is in those. God is in the trees. It was in all forms of nature that I was visiting. It was in the people that I would communicate with, in restaurants and stops along the way. I really got present to how much joy we can be in this world. And so God is absolute good, and God is in everything. And I think there's a Bible scripture that we are all gods. Ye, you are all gods. So we have that within us, if we choose to tap into it. And that brings us to number 2. If God is, I am too in the likeness of that which is the creative force of all things. At one point, something happened, and all of this was created. And so growing up, maybe you're like me, maybe you had the same experience. Growing up, I was sort of led to believe, I think, that God was this thing in the sky, this dude up there that was judging, keeping notes. And sort of this life here was a test to see if I was worthy of something greater or not, but worthy afterlife, not now. And that just didn't really work for me. When I was 18, I was like, no, I don't get it. So I chose the Star Wars version. There's a good force and a dark side, and I want to choose the good side more than the dark side. Doesn't mean I didn't have those dark moments, but I just resonated more with this idea that there was a goodness that I wanted to aspire to. And so that served me for a very long time until I met Leslie, who brought me to a Science of Mind spiritual center in Kitsilano in Vancouver. And Eckhart Tolle was speaking to 40 people because his book had just come out. The Power of Now had just been released. And so I read that book. I got it. I think I actually have an autographed version somewhere in my house, or maybe I don't anymore. But anyhow, I read that book, and that maybe was a beginning of a seed being planted, right, where something started to work inside me that was a little bit different from my previous thinking, or for what had served me up until that point. And so that began that process of, there is something greater out there. I don't know what it is, but it's certainly not something that I need to be afraid of. It's certainly not something that I need to worry about being judged by. It's something that I can actually embrace. And then the idea of, I too am that, began to take shape in me, that I too have that creative ability in me. And when I looked at my life, I was like, I've always been kind of a creative person. I was in a band. We wrote our own songs. Like, that's a creative flow. That gives me my own independence, because nobody's going to think up music the way I'm going to think it up. Nobody's going to think up lyrics the way I'm going to think it up. Just as I'm not going to do it the same way as Nico or Ken is going to do it, or Brian is going to play guitar, or anything like that. It's always going to be your own creative force that's at work. And so I could really embrace that. And then came number 3, and this is maybe the biggest piece, is the thinking, right? My thoughts create my experience. And that's a hard one to grasp, because sometimes we're thrown into situations that are not of our doing. We can look at what's going on in Maui right now. Somebody that just lives there is not responsible for the catastrophe that is happening around them. However, they are responsible for their way of dealing with it. Their way of living as a result of it can be their responsibility. And that's really the difference, is no matter what situation we're in, we can determine how we're going to respond. And as we think, that's what shows up. And it's not the random thoughts. It's the stuff that we truly think about a lot. So I read some statistics that 85% of what we think on a daily basis is the same stuff over and over and over again. That's the stuff that's going to show up. That's what's going to unfold or embrace our lives, if you will. We're going to create the stuff that we think about constantly. And if you want to get to a place of like love and joy, if you're really thinking about stuff that is not beneficial to your happiness and joy, that's probably what you're going to get. Because the universe doesn't know the difference. It's not thinking, hey, this is good or bad. It's just giving you what you think about. So that principle number 3 really took shape for me of, I am what I think about. And that began for me the process of ending up here at Unity. I used to, back in 2015, I had meditated for the first time, and I wrote something that I am spiritual. And I wrote this little paragraph that I would say every single day. And then it's, when I look back, it's like, oh, it's not surprising that I ended up moving to Vancouver Island and finding a place like Unity and choosing to minister. It's like when I can see what I was feeding myself every single day, that it then began to drive me in a certain direction. Just like when I was a money-hungry, at-any-cost person, that drove me towards certain decisions that I made in my life that maybe didn't bring me as much joy as I would like. That I look back and go, oh, that guy, wow, that guy was a weird dude. Not sure I want to be that guy ever again. Not good or bad, just in a world of choice, I can look at those two things and go, I choose this one. This is the one I want to. It's like vanilla or chocolate, choose, right? And I want to choose, and I don't know which one that would fall in, but swirl. Thank you, Valerie. Choose swirl. Now, anyhow, the point is that I realize that I get to make up how my life is going to go for me. Not all the circumstances that are around me, but how I deal and how I choose to see every circumstance I'm in. Like I'm usually somebody that goes to a party and doesn't really want to mingle. I'm more of, hey, I'll stand on the outside and kind of observe for a while. But I know that if I push myself to actually engage, I end up leaving somewhere going, hey, I had a really good time tonight. That was so great. Because I chose to interact with people. I chose a different pattern for myself than the one that I would normally automatically go to. And again, we can set that up for ourselves. But the first key to principle 3 in our thinking, creating our experience, is we have to notice. Right? Does anybody here ever take the time to reflect on who they are and how they show up in the world, or journal on it, or, right? And that's perfect. That's like the first step in changing your experience in life, is noticing, how do I respond in certain situations? How did I respond earlier today? How was I with that person? How was I in that situation? Is there something I'd like to change about that? Right? These are deep questions when you really want to dive into them. And they are the key to living the life that you want to live. That's what it requires. It actually requires us being responsible for ourselves first. It's like, the airplane, right? Where do you put the mask first in the airplane? You make sure you're okay so that you can help others. And then we can step into service for others. And then, then our pants are on fire at that point. Life is amazing, right? Yeah, it's true. Like that's where we start cooking with gas. We take care of this first. We make sure have an understanding. And so for me to embrace the idea that there is a godness, a goodness, a universe, something of a higher power, got that. I'm all in. I don't need any more convincing. I'm all in on that. Number 2 is, I am in that likeness. Yes, I have bought that fully, totally embrace it. Number 3, I am the thoughts. My life is that. That's a little hard one to take on, but I'm there now. And now the work is to make sure I train myself on a daily basis to be thinking what it is I want in my life. That's the work. And then number 4 is to affirm that, to affirm those very things. You can look at it as like, you can actually combine, in my world, you can combine number 3 and number 4. Your affirmations, you're affirming it, is your thinking, and your prayer is your thinking that. So you can combine those two things and make them a daily ritual. How do you talk to yourself? What's the first thing you say to yourself when you get out of bed? Is there something that you have in place? Like, hey, man, I suck. That's probably not going to work out very well for the long. But the thing is that is what can happen to us. I'm not trying to be funny. We can get in a state where we are harder on ourselves than anybody else. We would never talk to somebody else the way we might talk to ourselves at times. And so it's noticing that I have this way of thinking, this way of speaking to myself, that we can begin to switch and flip around and begin to embrace ourselves through our affirmations, through understanding that we are fully whole and complete. We are not born broken. Nobody is. But somewhere along the way, that brokenness kind of happens at times, right? Maybe somebody said something to you when you were 5 or 7 years old, and the subconscious has it running around in our head, and we're still running that program today. And the idea is to get in there and begin to erase that, let that go. And that's the thing, is we got to let it go. Have you ever tried to put new clothes that you brought home from the store into a full drawer? How does that work out?
I'm sure several have.
Yeah. Okay, let's see the hands. Who's done it, right? Who's tried to add something to something that's already full, like under the kitchen sink cupboard? You look in there and it's just, I'll just throw it in and close it real quick. Right? We got to get rid of the old stuff. We got to take care of that stuff that doesn't work anymore. Even the good stuff that we're done with. I had a goal of becoming a minister here at Unity and to be ordained, and that's done. Like, okay, it's done. Now what? And that's the question I'm in. Now what? What's that? Live it. Well, yes, there is that, but what is the next thing I want to do? I have this, I've completed this task, so I have a note on this that, hold on, this is important. This is important. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. The definition of success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Thank you, Earl Nightingale, for that. So my worthy ideal for me was to do this work, become a minister, be ordained. That was a worthy ideal of my life. Like, that was something I could put my heart and soul into. Done. Now what? Now what's the next worthy ideal that I'm going to get up to? And yeah, there is the idea, I'm going to be a minister, but for what cause? What purpose? What is the end goal for me that I want to set my sights on? And in any one of our lives, that worthy ideal could be as simple as, damn, and this is good for me too, I am going to get my garage in order. Like, I have done it. I have attempted it so many times, and it's just like more stuff just shows up magically. I don't know how it happens. But that's a worthy ideal for me, to get my garage in a place where I could park the motorcycle and the car in there at the same time. Woof!
May the force be with you.
Thank you.
I sense fear.
Yes, Star Wars. Yes, may the force be with me on that. Yeah. So, but that's what there is, right? That's the next thing. So all of this comes from, as I said, principle 1, got that, check. Principle 2, check. Principle 3, working on that all the time. I have affirmations that I speak every morning to retrain my way of thinking. And they're different than they were 5 years ago. What I'm now saying to myself on a daily basis is different than it was then, because my life has changed. Things have happened. Things have been completed that I can move on to the next. So that's number 4. Check, doing that. Number 5 is living the truth we know, or stepping into action, right? That's principle 5. So it's not good enough for me to sit on the sofa and just think about this stuff. It's not good enough for you to sit on your most comfy chair that you might have at home and just think about that stuff. It's good to do it, right? The thinking is important, especially as we're trying to bring in those new ideas. So we clear out the old messy stuff that's in there. When we do that, what happens? A new space is created. New ideas come in. We say, hey, that's the one. I'm going after that. Now we need to start stepping into action, moving ourselves towards that by being open to things showing up. You know, when I think of the most recent thing I can think of is the opportunity we have as a congregation here with either building or buying a building. The two things that are on the table right now for us at Unity. In my world, I have been thinking about a new something for us for quite a while. Didn't know whether it would be a new building here or what it would look like. I had no box it had to fit in. I just felt like what we had didn't serve what we wanted to do going forward, in my view. And so for me, from my little worldview, I'm looking at this like, wow, what an opportunity. Look at what's in front of us. Like, this is exactly what I have been thinking about. Which way is it going to go? I don't know. It's not all my say. But I'm totally open to whatever might show up to fill that void, that question I'm in, that opening that I have in my life to fulfill this. And that's how we can all live that way. I think, it's not the easy path, right? It's not the easy way to live. The easiest way to live is follow what 95% of the people in the world are doing and just kind of coast. And that's not a knock. It's just that's the way sort of life is. In any profession, what I've come to realize is you've got the 5% at the top that are amazing at that profession. You got a whole bunch of mediocrity, and then you got maybe the bottom 5% that shouldn't have been allowed anywhere near the profession. Right? That's sort of, and I learned that view when I was a stockbroker, when I was working, with people on their financial, was that I would see that there were some people that were just out to win for themselves. And that might be the people that I wouldn't want anywhere near the industry. And then there were a whole bunch of people that were just doing good, but not really thinking outside the box. They were just ticking the boxes. That's great. And then there were those in the industry that were innovative and creating new ways of doing things and really pushing the boundaries of the industry. That's what I'm talking about, is we have that within us, all of us, to be in that 5%. And I think that is what that scripture about the wide gate and the narrow gate, or the wide path and the narrow path. Don't take the wide path, take the narrow path. It's scary, right? It's scary to step out and be on your own down that little path, but that's probably the one for you. That's probably the one you want to take. It's going to be the most fun, I promise you. Living the truth you know for who you are, that's going to be the best way to go. And it's hard, right? It's hard when you have other people around you telling you should do. Has anybody ever told you what you should do with your life? Just curious? Yeah.
Can I just leave this up all day?
Yeah. Right? Oh, you should do this, or you should do this, or you should do this. And you get like 10 different people that tell you 10 different things about what you should do. Right? The key is to know what is right for you and to follow that. And it's hard. It takes something. So then what you want to do is you want to surround yourself with people that support you on that, right? The kind of people that are going to be behind you all the way. And, I know I'm giving a lot of examples from my life, but look at what I have. Look at the support I've received from this center. Imagine if all of you had been all along going, dude, you're going to be the worst minister ever. You can't do this right. You can't, like, no, seriously. If all of you were going, you should probably redirect. We think that you might want to do something else with your life instead of this path. I don't know that I would have stayed on on that path, right? But that wasn't the case. I had my family at home that supported me, and I had this congregation, Reverend Patricia, that were always pushing me to do better, to show up better with love and consistency. And so how could I not succeed? Right? How could I not achieve that? Also from Earl Nightingale, and I love this too, about successful living. Of course, I got to find it because I've got notes everywhere. Successful people are not people living without problems. The difference is they learn to solve their problems. Successful living is nothing more than the ability to solve successfully the problems that are as much a part of living as breathing. That's all it takes, is to solve the things that come up in front of us. Ever had one of those things where you just don't want to deal with it? And then you push it on and on and on? Yeah. How does that end up going? Does it just go away and somehow never come back to bite you?
To be determined.
Yes.
Still pushing.
Right, and I don't know if I shared this here, but I had that when the idea of buying the building downtown came up, and I was starting to get the emails about, we need to get the financing in, we got to go visit the building, and then what about selling this place and all of this stuff, and I have a leadership role here, and I began to look at that and just go, oh, I don't want to deal with any of this. No, seriously, I was like, somebody else can do this.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And then I drove Brooke to Leavenworth for a camp, and on my ride home, it came to me, the change in my brain as I was thinking about it and running all of this through my head, the change came to, oh, wait a second, I get to do this. I've never purchased commercial property before. I've never tried to be involved in the selling of something like this. I've never built and worked with people on a whole new building for a congregation in the downtown. Like, none of this stuff I've never done. And I switched that to, oh, I get to do this. Like, what an opportunity. It's no longer a burden. It's actually something I get to be a part of. And then I came back for our Tuesday congregation meeting in a whole new light. I was able to jump onto that meeting with you all and actually converse from a place of, let's see what's possible here. But had I not had that epiphany, I would have, I didn't want to lead that meeting on Tuesday. It's like, somebody else can do this, man.
Patricia could do it.
Yeah.
Patricia can do anything.
Yeah, exactly. She's the senior minister here. What the heck is... I know I've got the desk plaque. I know that I've got that, but...
She doesn't have antlers,
So, God is, I am, I think, I affirm, I live. Right? I act. Those are the 5 principles for living a life worthy of our time here on this planet. And we need to achieve that. In order to achieve that, we need to set ourselves up to win. So there might be some routines you got to change about what you do. There might be some things you need to put in place in order to live that. But that is the key to successful living, in my view. That I learned from somebody else. I didn't, this is not my words. This is just all the stuff I've listened to and read. That is the key. Namaste.
Namaste.
In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find love, I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's relief from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find love, I find God, I find myself.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Nico. I invite all of you to take a moment with me now and let's join in a little meditation and some silence. If you're comfortable, you can close your eyes. And if that's uncomfortable, please just find a spot on the ground or the chair in front of you where you can soften your gaze. And you can begin by noticing your breathing, tuning into each inhale and each exhalation. And with each breath, each exhale, just allow yourself to settle a little deeper into your position, your seated position, or if you're laying down, just allow yourself to become closer to the earth. And I invite you to know and trust that it's in this practice, as we move into a few moments of silence, that this is the opportunity for our subconscious to let go, for divine ideas to be welcomed into our consciousness. And so just allow your thoughts to drift. And anytime you find you're stuck on one particular thought, just come back to your breath. Breathe in and let go. And as we welcome ourselves back, I invite you to place a hand on your heart space. Breathe in nice and deep into that space. Let it go. And one more, and this time as you're exhaling, you can say to yourself, I am alive. I am alive. And as you're ready, you can open your eyes. Namaste.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Christ within me, hallelujah. Christ within me, hallelujah. Christ within me, hallelujah. Christ within me, hallelujah.
I just wanted to tell a very brief story. I played 5, 6 shows this weekend up and down the island. That's not the story. Although that was brief. And I was playing with this singer, Frederica Ionescu, and she wanted to sing this song called Tangerine. And the thing about playing jazz with singers is that they play them in the songs in different keys than you're used to. So let's say you're used to playing that song in C. Well, now it's in D flat. So everything you knew is changed. All your checkpoints are gone. All your comfortable ideas and patterns gone. And to make matters worse, it's a fast song, very fast song. And to make matters even worse, there was no bass player, so I'm playing left-hand bass. Well, while playing right-hand lines at a very fast song, which is now in D flat. And for those of you who aren't musicians, C major is where all the white keys are. D flat is everything is flat. So everything's in the wrong spot, essentially. It's basically the worst key. That's an objective truth. Can't argue with that. So as you can imagine, this relates to what Thomas said. The first time we played it on Thursday night, Friday night? I don't even know what day it is anymore. It must be Sunday, we're here. But one of those days where I was playing music, we played it, and as we're about to start, I'm going, it's in D flat, it's really fast, I'm gonna have to solo, I have to play left-hand bass, how am I gonna do this? I don't think I can do this, oh my God, I don't know. And needless to say, it went okay. Thankfully, I had 30 years of piano playing on my belt, so that was fine, but it wasn't great. The audience probably thought it was fine, but I was pretty darn pissed off at myself. Stupid D flat, stupid organ, stupid fast song, stupid singers, their stupid keys. Anyway, so yesterday we're in Comox, and there was actually some bumps in the show. There were some sound issues. One of the monitors just melted. Not physically, but the heat got to it and it stopped working. And then the PA did the same thing. It was quite the scene, but that's not what the story's about. What did happen, though, is we got to the end of this very bumpy show. It was like going through a very turbulent flight. And we got to the end of the show, and there's this damn Tangerine song again in D flat. And it's still fast, and there's still no bass player. But instead of being like, I hate the song, and I hate playing in D flat, and I hate fast stuff, which is actually true. I hate playing fast jazz. It's my scariest thing, probably from being a kid and having judges sitting there critiquing everything. And I was like, no, I'm going to enjoy this song. It's the last song I get to play today. I'm going to enjoy it. And it turns out it was the best song on the set. I've never played better in my life. So much to what Thomas said, there's a lot of state of mind going on there. And so I reached a problem, and I successfully overcame it. Well, at least once. So in the spirit of that, Today's improvisation will be in D flat. Which I still don't want to do. But progressive overcoming of problems. So we'll progressively overcome D flat. Thank you. It turns out D flat's not so bad after all.
That, ladies and gentlemen, was a joyous God pouring itself into D flat. Hey. You should publish that one. Call it Principle Number 4.
Principle number 4.
Yes.
I'm with it.
All right. So what's new?
What's new?
Big steps. As you know, we have had an unofficial vote to sell this building and to try to purchase a building downtown. So we need to keep that in mind. We need, please, in our prayers and affirmations, supporting the board and the committee as they go ahead with the work to be done and the decisions to be made. And so there is a special generation. If you are a member of Unity Vancouver Island, we strongly encourage you to attend Tuesday, August 22nd via Zoom. We'll send out the link later in the week. And by then, we hope to have lots of good things to tell you. And special announcement, fresh off the presses this morning. 2 weeks from today, the all-island gathering that we had planned at Cavallotti Lodge has been moved for a couple of reasons back to this location. Same event, same barbecue following, but you will not have to find your way through that horrendous detour and various things. So we're going to get rid of Thomas's drums and put a bunch of extra chairs up, so y'all come. Yeah, and Brenda would very like to have, things arranged so that we have lettuce and tomatoes and stuff. So if you'd like to help her with that, or if you want to bring a salad or dessert, please contact Brenda and see what you can do. And save the date for September 9th is our annual picnic in Victoria. So think about that. We'd like to have as many people representing the Centre and Upper Island as possible. Victoria, quite often we have Victoria people who take the time to travel up here, so let's return the favor. And in Victoria, next week, Thomas will be speaking in Victoria. His topic is We Become What We Think About, which is, I think, what you just already told us, wasn't it? Yeah. And reminding Victoria members also to please attend that special meeting, and the same for Comox. We would love to have representatives from Comox as person, and just watch their space for the next time they have an in-person service. They ongoing have second and fourth Tuesdays at 11:30, a prayer circle. And so please go to our webpage, which is at unityvancouverisland.com, and you can find pretty soon, as soon as I get updating the website, find all the information and all the details about all our upcoming events. And we thank you for the time and the talent and the wonderful talent that gets shared here, and for your generous financial contributions. I just did a talk for Unity Kitchener this morning, and I was talking about the law of demand and supply, that there's this infinite supply and a demand must be made upon it. It's fabulous how to access that money. And I told them that we tithe meticulously here at Unity Vancouver Island. When I first came and accepted the position here, we had been tithing on Sunday donations in the months when we had had a profit. I said right away, no. We tithe 10% on Sunday donations, period. About 2 or 3 years later, Thomas DeSchutter comes on the board. I think we should be tithing to everything. So now we do, meticulously, whether it's a sale of a book or a grant or whatever an event, however money comes to Nanaimo, we tithe to organizations in our community. And I was able to say to them, and we are about to purchase $1 million building for cash. Tithing works. So we thank you for your tithes. And in all the ways that you are able to support Unity Vancouver Island, it's your time, it's your attention, it's just taking time to be here or watch us and pray for somebody and just be you. Thank you. And here come the kids. Uh-oh. Do-do-do. Are you going to come up front and show and tell? Come on. Oh, look. Come on. Come up here and show people what you've made. Let's tell the children what we think of them. We see the divine light shining as you. We love and appreciate you exactly the way you are. Thank you very much. While we're on positive notes, how about some affirmations? Our vision. Unity Vancouver Island is a growing, unfolding, expanding center of light and love, mighty to attract its good and radiate good to others. And our mission? Transforming and enriching lives through spiritual awareness. Okay. Iris in the back row there. Iris will be in the prayer room following service today if anyone needs to sit with someone for a little support. And please stand and repeat our prayer for protection and sing this peace song. The light that is God surrounds us. We are one with the light. The love that is God enfolds us. We are one with the love. The power that is God protects us. We are one with the power. The presence that is God watches over us. We are one with the presence. Wherever we are, God is, and so it is. Amen.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With love as our center, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment